Oh no. You already know, so I'm gonna expose Jamal because he's not being truthfully honest with you guys.
What? What are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, wherever you are, guys. Welcome back to another video. I am super excited today. Well, kind of a little bit of both and both, half and half. I'm excited today because we finally get to look at the car entirely, mechanically wise, and just to make sure the car, like, there's no issues with the car or anything like that. We're gonna put on the lift today and look under it. We're gonna check everything, even down to the alignment. We're gonna check all the codes, everything. I don't have any check engine lights right now. Seeing as how Ben the GOAT works for BMW, might as well just do a full overhaul and just make sure that everything is working well. And if there's anything that I may have to order, any parts I may need to get, any type of preventative maintenance things, then we'll go ahead and get them. So right now we're heading over to BMW. It's gonna take a little while. I'd say probably about 45 minutes. Ben is already probably over there. He's probably gonna call me any minute now asking where I am. So let me try and get over there as quick as I can. So with all that being said, let's get started on this video. All right, hope you guys enjoyed that little time lapse. I'm trying different things with the edits and seeing, you know, what kind of looks cool and what doesn't. But we finally made it. We finally pulled up to BMW. Let's get this car on the lift. Cue the cinematic. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the cinematics. So we're here for a routine inspection. I don't know what's worse, mechanics or dentists, but either way, we're about to figure out how bad it is.
That's a good thing I'm not either, so.
Oh, that's a subtle flex.
Right.
That's funny, that's funny. Wise words from the GOAT. Yo, you're wild, bro.
I'm not a mechanic or a dentist, so.
That's funny. Okay, well, with that being said, let's do this inspection and let's see how whether I got a lemon or a or a decent car, man. Let's figure it out. So take it away, Ben.
Yeah, no. So just to go over things, pretty much what Jamal said. He's here for a routine inspection. Here at BMW, we call it a vehicle check. So pretty much, you know, for a vehicle check, you're pretty much doing a whole inspection of the vehicle, top to bottom, bottom to top. You're checking suspension components, safety components, things of that nature, any sort of leaks that might be happening or going on. You also, you know, hook up to the vehicle to see if there's any faults that might potentially cause an issue later down the road, or if the vehicle already has any faults, things like that. So, I mean, we're just gonna lift the car up in the air, you know, look underneath, make sure nothing's leaking, make sure, you know, all the suspension components and tires and stuff like that look good. And then, you know, bring it back down, hook it up, you know, assess the engine bay and things like that. Talk about it a little bit, and then, like Jamal said, figure out whether he bought a lemon or he bought a good car. So
Well, it got me here so far, so we're not doing too bad.
Yeah, not doing too bad. So,
all right, well, let's get into it.
Yeah.
So, what's the first thing that you would that you normally do? I don't know if it's like whether you have like a checklist that you're supposed to do, or it's like whatever you prefer, like your own checklist.
No, it's an actual checklist. That's why I said it's called a vehicle check. So there's an actual checklist of things that you're supposed to check while performing the vehicle check to the vehicle, and then you check off those boxes as you go through, and as you check them, if you find an issue or anything like that that's wrong with the car, then obviously you'll quote it to the customer. You'll show the customer, hey, this was wrong. This is what you're going to need. This is the repair, so on and so forth. And then at that point, it's on them whether they choose to approve it or send them on their merry way. So
okay, makes sense.
Yeah, but we'll probably let the vehicle up in the air first and look at what's going on underneath, because most people, anybody can pop the hood and be like, oh yeah, everything looks great, but not a lot of people have the capabilities of a lift to lift it all the way up and actually see, the underbody side. So
that's true.
So we'll do that first.
All right, let's do it.
All right, guys. So now that we have Jamal's car up in the air, I'm just gonna give you guys like a brief walkthrough of what to look for, things that fail over time, just things to look out for in general when buying one of these cars. I'm not going to bore you guys by walking you through an entire vehicle check process, because it is rather lengthy. But like I said, before we got the car in the air, you want to inspect tires, brakes, suspension components, things like that. Luckily for Jamal, the previous owner, before he bought this car, put on Michelin Pilot 4S's. So I already know these tires are brand new, and so does Jamal, so the tires do look very good. So that's just some safety things that you want to look at. Like I already said, all four of Jamal's tires are brand new. They look good. He doesn't have any nails, any holes. He has even tread wear across for right now. Once he puts a little bit more miles on the car, drives it and things like that, then we'll be able to tell whether or not, if he needs an alignment or things like that, because like I said, these are new tires, so they haven't started to wear, but as he puts more miles on the car, they'll start to wear, and if he does have an alignment issue, whether it be toe or camber, the tires will start to show where the issue is actually at, and then we can address it from there at that time. When it comes to like suspension components, being that this car is a 2012, and we're now in the year 2023, all the OEM suspension components on this car are 11 years old. So I don't remember. I don't know if Jamal remembers if the previous owner had replaced any suspension components.
I'm not sure, but there was a lot of receipts.
Yeah, there's a lot of receipts. But technically speaking, nobody ever replaces suspension components unless, one, you're upgrading it, or two, it actually gets damaged and you have to replace it. That's just what people do. But yeah, I already know that the control arms here, the lower control arms and the thrust arms, which are these two arms right here. Not that they're shot, but they're bad.
Yeah, they're on their way.
Yeah, they're on their way. Over time, like I said, these have been on here for 11 years, 80,000 miles. They get hot. When they get hot, the grease deteriorates. When the grease deteriorates, then it just goes bad.
Is that something that's common with these?
It's common with any car in general. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Any car in general. I'm just more or less narrowing it down for people who are buying this style of car, right? This is a performance car. This is a sports car. It takes turns very fast, things like that. So lower control arms, thrust arms are usually going to go out before anything else because of how people drive these sorts of cars. And like I said, 11 years old, 80,000 miles. And you won't be able to tell a difference. Like, this car rides and drives just fine.
Right.
But being that you own it, you know how it feels now. If we replace your lower control arms and your thrust arms, you'd be like, wow, such a difference.
Right.
So it's not something that you can actually feel or tell until you actually replace it.
Yeah. So once you get new ones, then you'll be like, oh, well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
now I get it. Yeah, it rides a lot better.
Yeah. And
well, yeah, because I feel like you just get used to the digress. If that makes sense, as it starts to digress and deteriorate, you just get used to it and it becomes a norm.
Yeah, it becomes a norm.
When you get new ones, it's like, oh, well, this is what it should feel like.
Right, that's what it should feel like, brand new.
Yeah.
Right, it'll change the handling, you'll be more confident, things like that.
Right.
Other things to look out for is just look for the ball joints, see if they're ripped. His ball joints aren't ripped. Again, everything looks fine, but from my experience and what I know that those two arms should be replaced at some point in time soon for Jamal, especially for what you want to do with the car. When it comes to the oil pan, I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody know now, these don't leak. They just don't leak, right? The V8s, I won't say V8s, I'll say this V8 is very good for, when it comes to the oil pan and things like that. I've never had to do one. I've never seen one leak. They just don't leak. And BMW, some way, somehow, on certain engines, they just don't leak.
I got lucky.
So you got lucky. You guys probably see a little bit of like overspray here for some oil. That's just typically when you drain the oil, because for those of you guys watching that don't know, this car doesn't have one oil drain portion. It has two of them. It has the one here for this section of the pan, and it has the one up here for this section of the pan, because this oil pan is baffled, has an upper section and a lower section, kind of flows like that. So this little bit of oil right here is probably just from an oil change that somebody didn't wipe off. So,
and we'll definitely do another oil change soon.
Oh yeah, definitely do another oil change soon. You can tell whoever had this car before you had a little fun with it, because this section right here is a little marred up a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Probably caught some air and then came down, and then it scraped a little bit, but the actual stiffening plate itself looks pretty good. So that's always a good sign. And then coming back here, I mean, this is just your exhaust. No really excessive wear or any excessive rust or anything like that. Everything looks good to me. And then, I mean, as you come back, you have all your underbody panels. All the underbody panels still look good. Nothing looks ripped. Nothing looks like it's been removed. These bolts don't look like they've been removed, but I'm sure they have been at some point in time. And these are just things for you guys to like look for, if you're looking at your own vehicle that you just bought, if you're in your garage or something. You always want to look at to see if like any bolts or anything like that have been touched. And a good way to tell is if there's any like markings or any like scrapes on the bolts. If you don't see any markings or any scrapes, it means that bolt's probably never been touched.
Right.
Like some of these, I can tell these body panels have never been removed, because all of these are plastic screws, and they usually get some type of wear and tear on them from continuously taking them off or putting them on. And they all do look still brand new, so I can tell that those have never been touched.
So I'm looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, so far so good. You're looking good.
Whatever.
I mean, the gas tank looks good. Some things to look out for if your gas tank is leaking on either side, doesn't really matter. It's usually from the driver's side, because these are where the lines run. But you'll see like a couple of little wet spots or some dry spots from gas. That's a good indication that the gas tank is leaking. Same thing for over here on this side where the actual fuel goes into. But I don't see anything like that, so that looks good. And then we have our problem child, which is typical for every M car, any BMW, or just really any car in general. I don't know how well you guys can see that on camera, but it's the differential. So the differential has essentially 3 seals. You have your output shaft seals, which are where your axles align with on both sides. So you have 2 output shaft seals, and you have your input shaft seal. Now, typically speaking, it's usually the output shaft seals that go before the input shaft seal, but in Jamal's case, his input shaft seal has completely worn out. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if you guys can see the differential fluid buildup here on the frontal portion of the diff. But if you can't, now you can, so. So your diff
exposing me.
Yeah. So I mean, your diff is leaking, but like I said, it's.
I'm not showing them that. They're not gonna see it.
That's fine.
No, I'm leaving it in there.
Either way, I mean,
like I said, we're gonna be transparent, guys. So you guys know what I know.
It's a common thing. It happens. All M's. It literally happened on mine. I've replaced them. I replace them all the time. It's
right.
It's at this point, it's like normal maintenance.
Right.
I mean, people have to realize that it's a rubber seal that has a little piece of metal in it, and over time it wears, and then it fails, and then it leaks.
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, it's not going to last forever. Some people get lucky and they don't leak. Some people are unlucky, like you right now, and it is leaking. So that would definitely need to be addressed. Not a crazy repair. It's just very. It's just very
tedious.
Yeah, tedious, because all the stuff you got to take off, the exhaust, all the shields and stuff like that. But that can definitely be taken care of. Other than that, I mean, like we already discussed, rear tires look good, front tires look good. In regards to brakes, you will need pads in the rear.
Yeah, time for some pads.
Time for some pads. And I mean, these rotors look like they've already been through at least one pad cycle.
Yeah.
I don't know how well you can show them here on camera, but anytime you do like a pad cycle or 2 pad cycles, the rotor itself will start to form a lip, and you can take your finger and you can actually touch the rotor and like swipe down or swipe up, and you'll feel a slight lip on the rotor. And depending on how thick that lip is on the rotor, is a good indication that you more than likely need, you know, rotors as well. You have a very small lip, so I would believe you can get away with another pad cycle if you don't want to do rotors, but so that's just something to point out as well.
Okay.
But in the fronts here, the fronts look good. Plenty of pad life remaining. At least 10 millimeters of pad life remaining, which is usually what they come with, you know, brand new, 10 to 11 millimeters. So the fronts are good. The front rotors, again, have a little lip. So they're probably their second, you know, pad cycle.
Right.
So after these pads in the front, I would recommend pads and rotors.
BBK.
Or, yeah.
Maybe.
whatever you want to do. But yeah,
well, guys, comment down below if I do start looking for a big brake kit. What do you guys think I should get? Shoot me some ideas.
Very expensive.
Well, I mean, we did have a full in-depth big brake kit kind of a talk with your F80. So,
oh yeah,
you know, I mean, you're definitely knowledgeable in that too. But comment down below. I mean, you guys were very responsive on that one too, so let us know.
Yeah, so I mean, that essentially wraps it up for underneath. Like I said, I mean, there's not really much to look at on these cars. I can tell that, you know, your suspension components, they look fine. I know which ones already need to be replaced,
right?
Just because this is what I do for a living. But everything else other than that underneath the car looks really good. So I don't think you have to worry about anything, you know, too crazy as of right now. You know, as time goes on, you will have to replace, you know, other components that eventually either fail or wear down, depending on how you drive the car. So that's just kind of like a brief, you know, what some things, a little walkthrough of what you guys should look for when buying one of these cars. You know, little tips and tricks of stuff that might be bad or might be going bad.
Yeah.
So now you guys, the viewers, know essentially what to look for, I guess, underneath. So now we'll lower the car back down. I'll walk you guys through the engine bay, some things to look, you know, throughout the engine bay, and then we'll go from there. Oh no.
Why are you laughing? What did we find?
That's too funny.
What did we find?
All right.
What did we find?
So it's like I was
breaking my heart, bro.
It's like I was telling Jamal, right? So
I'm selling.
That's too funny. No, don't sell it. No, so any M car, right, or any high performance car that BMW makes.
All right.
Right.
You're building me up a little bit.
M340, right? Not a regular 340. M340. You know, anything that has an M in front of it and then a number that follows it will have spacers in the suspension itself, right, in the strut. So the reason why it has that is so that while it's on the transport truck, the car obviously, the suspension isn't like going like this, right? The strut isn't going in and out, right? So the spacers, there's 3 of them. There's 2 white ones and there's 1 blue one. Now when the technician receives the car, when he does his initial inspection of the car, when it's brand new, when it comes in, has no miles, blah, 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 the technician is supposed to remove these spacers from the strut because it has no movement, right? The strut has no movement because the spacers are there, right? So it rides like ass. If you go over a bump, you'll be able to tell because there's no movement. It's just like bump, bump, you know? So as I was inspecting Jamal's car off camera, I saw something that looked like a spacer inside, you know, his strut on this side. And I was like, there's no way. Like, this car has been PDI'd, that's what it's called, right? Pre-delivery inspection. It's been PDI'd for 11 years, right? People have worked on it, you know, for 11 years. The previous owners, they've taken it places to BMW, whatever. And lo and behold, it's in there. So one of the 3 are in there. So I don't know how, I don't know. I don't even know if I can remove it. I might have to break it, but I don't know if they can see that. So if you guys can see that, that's one of the spacers. That's the small blue one that is on your strut. Now, as you can see, it's been crushed because it's been in there for the last 11 years. And if I can undo it, if it'll let me, there we go. This is No, this is what it looks like. So this is the one that's on the bottom, and there's two white ones that sit on top of it. And when the car is brand new, when an M is brand new, this is what they come with. It's the blue one, the white one, and the white one. And then the technician, when he does his PDI, is supposed to lift the car up, like I just did, take out both white ones, and then take out the small blue one at the bottom. Well, I guess for the last 11 years, this one has been missed. So
we need to put this into perspective because I don't think people understand how long 11 years was.
Right. I mean, I just think it's funny. I mean, if you really think about it, right?
11 years ago, Bad Baby was still a baby. Okay?
True.
11 years ago, we didn't even know what COVID was. 11 years ago, Ben's F80 hadn't even been probably thought about. Well, it may have been in design.
Yeah,
in the works.
In design, yeah.
This thing has been getting crushed that entire time.
Yep. I just think it's funny. This just shows you the level of, I don't want to say professionalism, but how in depth people actually look at things when you take it places. I mean, even as far as, you know, BMW, I mean, if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what you're looking for. You know, other technicians might have just thought this was supposed to be there. Other indie shops might have just thought this was, you know, supposed to be there, but in actuality, it's not supposed to be there. So I'm glad I was able to find it for you. All right, so after we found that little discovery, now I'm just gonna walk you guys through like a quick brief of things you should look for in the engine bay. Now, being that this is a V8, I'm only gonna show you guys this side just because this is the only side that you can technically see when it comes to the valve covers, or I won't even call them valve covers, right? They're really called a cylinder head cover. So you wanna look at the cylinder head cover, is a plural, because it's a V8 on this car. So things to look for, I mean, this one actually looks like it's in really good condition. They're made out of magnesium, which is good and bad. Over time, as they get hot, they crack, they expand. Majority of the time, I might be able to see. So I don't know how well you guys will be able to see it. We'll probably throw a B-roll clip in there, but you can tell the inner portion of the magnesium cylinder head cover is starting to come apart a little bit here on the inside. That's considered normal. I've seen them to where they're coming apart on the outside. That'll be like tiny little pinholes here inside the actual cover itself. There's a little bit of bubbling going on right here in this section, but that's just the coating that they're using. But these are just like little things to look for. It does look like his cylinder head cover on this side is leaking. It's usually the one on the passenger side just because of the way the engine sits inside the actual engine bay itself. It's still kind of at an angle. So I mean, that can be, you know, addressed. They do make aftermarket, you know, ones that are made out of aluminum or billet, things like that, that are a little bit better, that, you know, will withstand the test of time longer. But this one does look pretty good. Like I said, just a little bit of leakage, so nothing too crazy. Everything else, the belt looks good inside of here. The fan clutch looks good. The air box, like I said, there's really not much you can see on this side. You can only see a little small section of the cylinder head cover on this side just because the air box is in the way. But another neat thing is that Jamal actually has his oil cap or oil cover. Usually with these cars being as old as they are, you usually never see these on these cars anymore just because throughout time, you know, the previous owners have gotten their oil changes.
Stop calling my car old, Ben.
It's old. The previous owners, you know, they've gone places, had their oil changed or whatever, and they've lost these little caps. So it's cool that his car actually still has it. That means that, you know, the previous owners before Jamal, you know, have taken pretty good care of the car, which is always a good, you know, sign as well. Everything else in here looks good. I don't see any oil leaking from anywhere really. Obviously, you have, you know, this car has power steering. That's why people love them so much, because you actually get that actual road feel. The car actually feels heavy.
Not electronic.
Yeah, power steering. I would have said electronic power steering if it was electric. So this is just regular power steering. right? That's why people love them so much, because you know, there's actual fluid, actual power steering lines, you feel the weight of the car, you feel the road, so on and so forth. This leakage right here is considered normal. They all leak, they're made out of plastic. Over time they just leak. But yeah, other than that, everything looks good. All his fluids look good. I know because I topped them off.
Dang, that's shot up.
Yeah, that's how you know.
Almost poke your eye out.
Good indication that, you know, all your fluids in there. The level sensor came all the way up.
Yep.
And you do have blue coolant in there, which is also another good sign. It means that, again, the previous owners who had this car before you took care of it, because majority of the time you buy a used BMW from somebody or anybody else and you have like green coolant or whatever. But these cars are supposed to take blue. Again, guys, those are just a couple of quick things that, you know, you should look for. Again, when buying this car, all in all, like I said, the engine bay looks good. All the components look good. Everything is nice and tight. The plenum's on there. So everything is what we would consider operating as designed. So with that, let's wrap it up and let's figure out, you know, whether Jamal has a lemon or a good car, as he would say.
All right. So talk to me. What do you think? Goodbye? Whatever to you.
No, goodbye. I mean, like I said, everything that we found, everything that we showed you guys, everything that I talked about,
yeah,
was just normal maintenance stuff, normal wear and tear items that essentially go out over time and mileage. I mean, nothing crazy. I didn't see anything broken. I didn't see anything damaged. Just normal items that wear over time and, you know, need to be replaced. What we would consider normal maintenance. So all in all, top to bottom, bottom to top, everything looks good. So I think you lucked out on this one. I think you got a pretty good buy.
With that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Definitely a little bit longer, but it's very informative.
Yeah.
To all you guys who have clicked on the video, maybe you guys are looking to get one, and you know you don't know just how much, you know, these things will cost you. You don't know like what issues you may have, this and the other. This kind of in-depth video of this car is for an 11-year-old car pushing 12 years. This is a video that you guys need to watch all the way through. And to the guys that made it this far through, you know what I mean, hopefully you guys learned something valuable from it. Comment down below, suspension again, what you guys think I should get for suspension, big brake kits, what you guys think. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, did we show them that up close? Show them that up close real quick. Yeah, go ahead, show them that up close. That little nugget.
Yeah, that's all it is.
See you guys in the,
Actually, I lied. Real quick, just 3 quick pro tips that I didn't mention because I know Jamal's car is good and doesn't have those. Just real quick, guys, sorry. So there's 3 issues that you can essentially look for, again, when buying one of these cars. One's called a cowbell. You guys can look that up on the forums. It's pretty self-explanatory. Essentially what's happening is when you put the car in any gear, reverse, neutral, or drive, you're gonna hear like a cowbell type noise. What that is it's a component inside the drive shaft that deteriorates over time and it causes a cowbell noise, or it could be actually inside the transmission itself. That's definitely something you want to listen for and look for if you're potentially going to test drive or buy one of these. Another big thing is going to be rod bearings. I didn't bring up rod bearings because Jamal has a receipt for the rod bearings already being done to this M3. That's another reason why he bought it.
Yep.
Rod bearings are a very big thing with this car. We can get into it in a whole other video about why it's a big thing for this car, and I can really explain it then. Another thing is going to be the throttle actuators. Throttle actuators sit underneath the intake plenum because this doesn't have a manifold, it's a plenum. And they are made out of plastic. Well, the gearing is made out of plastic, that's why they fail and go out over time. Jamal's have already been replaced at least once, so he got lucky in that aspect as well. So I didn't mention those 3 things in the video just because I already knew he was good on those things, but those are 3 pro tips for you guys to also look for, listen for, and feel for if you're looking to buy one of these. So with that being said, like Jamal already said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.